Well, the short answer is yes, you should put up earnest money. However, you should not put up earnest money as well. It depends on what do we mean by put up. Now, when I say put up earnest money, the yes part of it is you should write on the purchase agreement that you are putting up earnest money for obvious reasons. One being, it makes the seller feel comfortable. It makes them feel like you're legit, that you are putting up earnest money. The second reason is, even if you write on the piece of paper, you still don't have to put up the earnest money. And let me unpack what I mean. Now, with putting up earnest money, the second part of it being no, you don't want to deposit the earnest money into escrow with the title company. And usually if you're working with somebody with a single family homeowner or even just a rental property owner, right? They are not checking for the actual earnest money to be in escrow with the title company. The reason why you don't want to put it into escrow with the title company is for two reasons. First being, if you decide to cancel your purchase agreement, all earnest money is refundable, right? So if that earnest money is refundable, it's a good thing. However, if you actually put the earnest money into escrow with the title company, they will have to get you to sign. The title company will need to receive a release of earnest money agreement or a cancellation of contract agreement. So basically, they'll need to see something between you and the seller saying that I sign off, seller has to sign off on the fact that you're not buying the property, basically. And you, knowing the wholesale real estate business, can see the possible repercussions from having the seller whom you just said you were going to buy the property, that now you need them to sign to get your money back. You don't want to hire yourself in that situation. It's not a good look, right? So you don't have to actually put this earnest money up, because in the purchase agreement that I use, and it's up there, or you can definitely click that link in the description. With the purchase agreement that I use, guys, you have 3 business days to actually deposit the earnest money into escrow with the title company. Now, even if you do not find a buyer within that 3 business day time frame, it allows you enough time to be able to tell the seller, hey, it'll be in escrow with the title company. Usually, and when I say usually, I'm talking 9 times out of 10, the seller won't even check, right? But what happens if they do check? Now, if the seller actually checks and says, hey, the earnest money is not into escrow with the title company like you said, now you can put it into escrow with the title company. However, you can use your techniques as far as being a clever investor and just being able to be, you have to be a part of salesman, guys, in this wholesale real estate business. That being said, you assure them that you're continuing the process. That's the only thing I really want to know, right? Now, the good part is the purchase agreement is still valid. Even if you do not put up earnest money, even with the seller, with the title company, the purchase agreement, the actual agreement to purchase the property, is still valid for the specified time period. So you still can go through your inspection period and try to sell the property, even if you do not have the money into escrow, and even if the seller knows this. So that's why you never have to really put up earnest money, guys. Now, that's why I say yes, you do want to put up earnest money from writing on a paper, but no, you don't want to actually spend your money on earnest money. Now, let's take a look at how much earnest money that we actually should put up. With earnest money, what I typically do is put up $100 with the earnest money, guys. $100 of earnest money, it makes sure that, it's simple, right? Now, the most that I've ever had to put up, parentheses, is 1,000. However, if it's not 1,000, then the most will be 500. So the most is 1,000, but if it's not 1,000, then it'll be 500. But on an everyday contract, on a $40,000, $60,000, on even $500,000 house, you can put up $100 earnest money and the seller won't bat an eye. That's the typical thing, right? Now, if earnest money is a scenario, one scenario an earnest money may be actually checked is if you're working with a realtor. This video actually comes from a loyal stepper out there, and they asked about this because they were working with a realtor. So I said I'll do a video on it. That being said, if you have any videos about any questions, any questions that you have, and if I find that it's actually a good question, I may do a video on it. So that being said, guys, if you're working with a realtor, this is especially to the stepper out there to ask this question, what I would recommend when you're working with a realtor, they are more than most likely going to check when it comes to the earnest money. So what I would recommend when you're working with any realtors, right? For one, guys, it's $100, $500. I can't say you should, but you can have the means to put up $100 or $500 because you're going to get it back. But this is the thing. Don't do it when you're working with the realtors unless you know you have a buyer, guys. That's the biggest thing. Because what can easily happen when you're working with a realtor, If you have a buyer already, your buyer don't care about the earnest money, right? They'll put up $2,000, $5,000 in earnest money if they're buying a $50,000, even $30,000 property, because they know that for a fact they want the property. So the earnest money it goes to the purchase price, so it's not a big deal, guys. That being said, when you're working with the realtor, like I said, you can have $100, $500, $1,000 saved away, because ultimately it's an investment back into yourself and your business. And I've had to do this, guys. I've had to have $1,000 just tied up in escrow, and this is why I say don't put it into escrow, because I had to rely on the seller to actually give me that money back. The seller was dragging their feet because I told him I was buying a property. That being said, the seller, I was so sure that I was buying the property too. I was like, I knew it was gonna sell, right? But it didn't. That being said, I had $1,000 of my own money tied up into escrow after I've canceled the purchase agreement, and the seller was dragging their feet, right? It took me like 2-3 weeks just to get this $1,000 back after I canceled the purchase agreement. Like, that's not a good, you don't want to be in that situation if you really don't have to. That being said, that house was like $80,000. I've purchased $500,000 property with $100 on the earnest money line. You don't really need earnest money. It's all about the trust in you. If they have faith in you and you have faith in yourself, that energy will be shared and they'll feel it. That being said, all you really have to do is get to stepping.